Hey, how's it going, Brandon? It's me, Zach, and we are back here with another video. This video, we will be going over another deck. I believe this is going to be the second last video that you're going to see in this series of videos that I'm creating for you. And this is the last deck profile we have for you. We have Spiritomb. It's a weird deck. It has a bunch of different tech Pokemon in it for different situations. So you can see that we have all of these different Pokemon that the deck plays. So we've got a lot to go over there. And here's exactly what we have. In this video, I will be going over some strategies that your deck can do. Some strategies that you could perform while you're playing against this deck to have a higher chance of winning against it. This deck is a weird matchup. It is an inconsistent deck, so keep that in mind, that even if the matchup seems a little bit rough, we are able to get past it. So that being said, if you have any questions for me, make sure to ask during our next coaching session. Maybe you just love Spiritomb as a deck and you want to try it out. Let's see how it goes. So here we've gone over in a few of these videos, actually quite a few times. Ditto Prism Star, I'm sure by now you can tell, is a super popular card in decks. It can evolve into a handful of Pokemon. It can evolve into a Zekrom-GX. It could evolve into an Aerodactyl-GX, a card that we already covered in the Fossil Box deck profile. Or it can evolve into a Frostlass. That's all it's really being played for. Hoopa in this deck is really meant as a counter towards Malamar decks, but if you do have a bunch of Pokemon with abilities in play, such as your Dedenne-GX, Zorora-GX, Jirachi, those Pokemon can add up and they could do some decent damage for Evil Admonition, enough for them to be able to knock out a Jirachi here or there. They have Spiritomb, so they build damage on it, and they also build damage with Rainbow Energy, and they try to go with Hustle Belt here to do extra damage with Anguish Cry. With Anguish Cry, they could do 10 damage, and let's say they have 3 damage counters on it. They're doing 100 damage, but if it's 30 less HP, Hustle Belt works with it, so they'd be doing 160. They have another 2 damage counters on it. They could be doing 220 damage for a Spiritomb. With cards such as Shrine of Punishment, that can seriously add up in a jiffy, so do keep note of that. You can knock out multiple of these Pokemon, or even attack with your Zapdos, or even attacking with your Tapu Koko Prism Star, just to try to face them with some single prize card attackers. Gumi is similar to Aerodactyl. It will make your opponent's active Pokemon cost 1 more colorless to attack. They can send this up. In some cases, this is really for the Bahia matchup, so you don't need to worry about it as much. Just remember what Sticky Membrane does. Buzzwole, they do play this if you have 4 prize cards left. So similar how in some matchups like Blacephalon-GX you want to play around B-String, you do want to play around your opponent's Sledgehammer turn. So try to play around their Sledgehammer turn. Try to go for a Tagbolt-GX to knock out 2 of their Pokemon at once. They will try to prevent that with Mew, a card that we've brought up a few times in other matchups, but you can custom catcher and knock this out and go into a Tagbolt-GX. Otherwise, this can knock out a Pikachu Zekrom in a pinch. Moving forward, we have Aerodactyl-GX, similar to Fossil Box. They only play this for Pikarom. They also play this card for Pikarom, so it is something you need to watch out for. Your energies you will need 1 more energy to attack with any of your Pokemon, since all of your Pokemon are basics. Boulder Crest is really off the table, but this does give them a GX attack. I believe it's the only GX attack this deck has available to it, so watch the energies that you have in play. Blitzel is basically there to evolve into Zebstrika. The only reason why they play the 60 HP version is because of Professor Elm's Lecture. With Professor Elm's Lecture, they could actually search for Ditto, they could search for Spiritombs, they could search for Gumis, they could search for Blitzel, they could search for Mew, and they could search for Snorunts. So that is definitely something to watch out for. Going forward, we have Zebstrika. They use this as a way to get around Pidgeotto control, or just to make their deck a little bit more consistent. There's Jirachi, same as your Jirachi. They're just using it to get any of their item cards out into play. So they have Pokegears, all of these cards that they want to get. You can see they have a lot of different options, lots of different techs in this deck that they might want to play around with. Mew, as I said, for bench barrier, you might just want to custom catcher and knock this out, either with a full blitz or with Zapdos' Thunderous Assault. Snorunt is just there to evolve into Frostlass. This is mainly for fire type attackers, but they can put up to 7 damage counters, hitting for 140 damage with Spiteful Sigh. Now, if you don't knock this out right away, they can do extra damage with Hustle Belt, so keep that in mind. And lastly, for their Pokemon, they do have Tapu Fini here. So this is basically only against Ultra Beast Pokemon, mainly Blacephalon-GX. So again, not to worry. The biggest things for you to worry about are their Spiritomb, their main attackers, pesky abilities such as Sticky Membrane and Primal Winds, fighting type attackers such as Aerodactyl-GX's Wild Dive-GX and Swing Around, and like I said, Bench Barrier in general. So those are basically the core focuses you want to kind of watch in the match. We'll see how it goes in the next game, but try to use your custom catchers if it's available to get around them. Try to play around your opponent's Sledgehammer, and watch out for Aerodactyl-GX. The only way they can evolve it is Ditto, so you can also knock out the Ditto to get around that as well. Moving on, we have Pokegears. This is just to grab their supporter cards. You can see they play a handful of supporter cards. Brock's Grit, Cynthia, Professor Elm's Lecture, Red's Challenge, and Tate and Liza. Just to make their deck a little bit more consistent, try to get that turn 1 Professor Elms for them to get set up. Pokecom, same card that you play. Sometimes with all these different techs, they're going to want a different Pokemon out in play. So out of all those different Pokemon that they have, they might want to have a different one out in play, so they can decide what they want. Next up is Switch, just as simple. They might, as much as they have all the different techs, sometimes they might just want to have a different Pokemon out in play that they want to attack with. Lysander Labs is to really shut off spell tags in the Malamar matchups, but do be cautious, it will shut off your escape board. So you might want to bump this with a Thunder Mounted Prism Star, or just have a switch ready for your Jirachi. Shrine, watch out for your GX Pokemon. Try to counter this with a Lysander Labs or a Thunder Mountain Prism Star. Also, I know I've talked about it a few times. Maybe you want to try those Lysander, adding a couple Power Plants into your deck to have more diverse stadium lineup. That would be another way to bounce this. Brock's Grit, they have a lot of Pokemon in this deck, 21, and they also have a few basic energies, 1 dark and 2 waters. Maybe they'll want to shuffle those back into their deck. Brock's Grit allows them to do that. Cynthia, simple shuffle and draw supporter. Professor Elms, we've already gone over this card to search out their Pokemon with 60 HP or less. Red's Challenge, sometimes they're going to need a specific card like a Buzzwole or an Aerodactyl. Maybe they'll need a specific energy or a Hustle Belt. It gives them a lot of options. Tate and Liza gives the double up where they could either switch or treat it like a lesser Cynthia. It's up to them, depending on what situation they're in. Escape board is mainly going to be for their Jirachi. Similar to how you play a skateboard, you need to watch out if they have a Lysander Labs in play though, because it will shut off their own escape board. Same thing with Hustle Belt, that's another tool that Lysander Labs can shut off, so you could shut that off with your own Lysander Labs, or you want to be careful to make sure that they are not using their own Lysander Labs to shut off their own things. It's mainly going to power up Spiritomb, but it can also power up any of their other Pokemon if they are having 30 HP or less. And then they have Rainbow Energies. Rainbow Energies can use all the different attacks, such as Buzzwoles or Aerodactyls. They can even attack with Zebstrika. This deck can actually attack with any single attack that they have in the deck, which is super cool. So depending on the amount of energies that they have, keep in mind that they can attack with any attack. Unit Energy Prism Star means that they can attack with anything, including Gumi's Ram, but mainly it's just to attack with their Dark or Fighting type Pokemon. Then they have a Dark and 2 Waters, mainly just to shuffle back with Brock's Grit if they do get into the discard pile. So there's a lot of text going on in this deck and a lot of different things going on. But like I said, the main things to focus on are Buzzwole, Aerodactyl, which can only evolve from Ditto, and Mew. So those are the things that we're going to focus on in the next matchup to take care of. Otherwise, this deck can be inconsistent at times. I know that I've played it and I've had my fair share of games where Spiritomb did not set up for me. So if you are playing against this deck, no need to worry. The deck might fail on its own. Pikachu Zekrom is a much more consistent deck. So in the next video, and that's going to be the last video of our series. So if you got up to this far, great job on you, Brandon. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to play against this exact Spiritomb deck with your exact Pikachu and Zekrom-GX deck. So thank you so much for watching this video, Brandon, and we will jump into the next video. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me during our next coaching session, or you could ask your brother, Ryan. He seems to know a lot about Pokemon. He's been growing a lot, and I really do trust his opinion in this game. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great one.